The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. And joining me today on the panel are Pat Scott. Hey, Pat.
Greetings.
And Joanne Mercier. Hey, Joanne.
Hey, Dom.
Folks, we want to get right into today's show. Our topic today is we're kind of continuing in a theme that we've had recently. We recently did an episode on apps and tech to help you through natural disasters and that sort of thing, and extreme weather. And a listener was suggesting, how about something a little more specifically on home backup systems, like the electrical backup. That all of our tech, we get all this tech, not to mention refrigerators and ranges and all that sort of stuff, powered by electricity. But when the grid goes down, power goes out, we're kind of stuck. So we more than ever are in need of these home backup systems. And when the weather is tough, when it's a bad winter storm, or a bad summer storm, it could be life and death situation. Even keeping your family warm, keeping the house either cool or hot, or whichever. So I wanted to talk a bit about home electrical backup systems, and there's new tech out there for it, and is it worthwhile? So I want to quickly get into it, but first, as I often do, I'll ask the panel if you have experience with home electrical backup systems. Do either of you have a home electrical backup system? Pat?
Well, I'd like to have one.
Yeah,
but
right. Yeah.
I'm looking at. We are looking at it, but because we're seeing them pop up all over the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So we've started to think about it, and I've done some research on it, but just enough to be dangerous.
How about you, Pat? Do you guys have?
No, the only thing I have are the little chargers that I charge up ahead of a storm and then plug in my phones, etc.
Yeah.
And I take it back. I do have UPS on my major hardware, so uninterruptible power source at each of our computers that will also cover the monitor, etc. But other than that, no. I've looked at these other things, but I don't think I have as much of a need to have them as most people do, because I live in the South and our ice storms are very infrequent. But yeah, we do have power outages, but not drastic ones. Right.
I mean, you guys had a really bad one a few years ago down in Texas.
Yeah. There were two of them, 2 years apart.
Yeah.
And there may be more. And maybe next year I'll be looking at these notes and saying, why didn't I?
Right. Well, and I mean, if you have, like, in addition to like fridges and that sort of thing, or, heating and cooling, some people have medical equipment and that sort of stuff that needs to keep running and that sort of thing. And so this could be a critical issue for a lot of people. In my house, I have uninterruptible power supplies. I have, one on my computers with computer monitor. I have another one on my NASs. That's more to even out any power dips or anything. I don't want that's critical data. I don't want that to get damaged. And then I have one on my Wi-Fi and modem
router and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, the mainly the Wi-Fi one, because I wanted to keep the smart home stuff running, because that's all Wi-Fi dependent. So if your power's out, the lights aren't working. I know, but there are some things I want to make sure I keep working, even if that's mainly if my wife accidentally plugs the vacuum into the wrong outlet and trips the circuit. That keeps the Wi-Fi on.
Well, and there are some things that if you have a router up, Wi-Fi will work even if you don't have internet.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing about backup systems is that when you go through an event, a storm, and you don't have one, you swear you're going to get one for the next one, and then you forget about it, and then the next one shows up and you wish you had done it.
Right, right. Now, I also have a portable generator, gas generator, that I bought a few years ago. I've only ever had to use it once, and I can run my freezer and my fridge off of it, and the toaster oven. Like I can hook up the hot water kettle. So I could save the fridge and the freezer, because those, like, when those go down, you lose a lot if you're out with those for a while. But we'll get into the specifics of the pros and cons of the different types as we go. But I just wanted to see where we stood with it. So we get all kinds of reasons why we get backup, why we might need backup power, whether it's storms or grid failures or blackouts, and sometimes the grids go down without storms, as we've seen. And we need to keep things running. We need to charge things and that sort of stuff. So there's a couple different kinds of backup power systems. And we mentioned one, like the most basic kind is the UPS, or uninterruptible power supply. That is it's a battery that keeps very specific items running for a period of time, whether it's computers or modems, that sort of thing. They usually, I think most consumer UPSs will run a computer or system for like an hour. They're not long-term power.
It's really intended more to, the power's going down, I need to close down things and shut out my files and get closed out properly before it just dies.
Finish this podcast really quick.
Right. Yes, that too.
And we've talked about UPSs before in previous episodes, so I don't want to get too much into that right now. But I want to talk about more of the bigger systems to supply more power. And I mentioned one, the portable generator. I have a gasoline powered one, but there are propane powered and diesel powered. Their downside is they're noisy. Whenever we have a power outage, you hear the start up all over the neighborhood. You hear the generators running. They require, they have, gas tanks or fuel tanks that require you to be constantly refueling them, which can be an issue, especially if it's like a hurricane and the gas stations are down. That could be an issue. One thing is it has to run outside, of course. You can't run a gas powered or propane powered or diesel powered indoors. That's carbon monoxide poisoning. You'll die. So don't do that. But that means you have to get the power into your house. So in the winter, keeping a door or window open is, especially when the heat's out, is not great. Although you can get something installed. You can have an electrician install
a conduit, kind of.
Yeah, I think there's a specific term for it.
I can't remember it either. But
it's like an interlock or something, I think it's called. But it's a plug on the outside and then a plug on the inside, or even like you can even get a second smaller circuit breaker panel that connects to very specific items like your fridge and your freezer and like a couple of things, and you plug the generator in on the outside to that, and that powers just that part of your home electrical system. So that's, of course, an added expense. But like a portable generator is probably around, you can get different sizes, different amounts of electricity that they produce, but probably you're looking somewhere $800 to $1,000, maybe $1,200.
We bought ours, I want to say 7 or 8 years ago, for one of the superstorms that came by.
Yep.
And we haven't had to use it since.
Right.
Which, so I say it's our insurance policy. Since we have it, we're never going to have to use it.
Yeah.
But my husband has wanted to put one of those plugs on the outside. We've had a devil of a time trying to get an electrician to do it, because it's not one of their preferred things to do, or it doesn't, it's so small. It's like, when I have time, I'll be by.
Right.
And 3 years, we still haven't seen anybody. But, we have it. We have the long 50 or 100-foot cord so that we can go from the generator to the house. And everybody in your neighborhood knows you have it.
Right.
Because they all go on at the same time, usually.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to have, but lugging it around at our age has gotten to be, we first got it. Okay, you and I can move it together, Kevin. We'll just put it here and put it there. Now it's like, can we get a few neighborhood people to help us with this? Because so it's not great for older people that have to move it themselves.
Right. It's a acceptable solution, but it's not a great solution. But it is it's economical and kind of straightforward. You put gas in it, you turn it on, it works. That's its primary virtue. The next one up is something a standby generator, and this is a more permanent installation, and thus more expensive. They're much larger. Sometimes you'll see them outside of homes, and they'll be in like a looks like a deck box for a pool. You know what I mean? It'll be on the side of the house, and there's a generator inside, and so they are usually powered by either natural gas or propane, and their intent is when the power goes out, they come on automatically. So, everything was dark, and then a few seconds later it kicks on, and now you have power again, and you have this generator running. It's extremely convenient. They usually will power your whole house. Although, if you want if you're not sure how long you're going to be out, your best bet is probably to turn off unnecessary things and to extend the life of the amount of propane or natural gas you might have in the system. I mean, if you're connected to the natural gas system pipe in the street, that would be awesome. That means you have basically unlimited unless that goes down. So that's the primary virtue is it's nice and easy and it's like you're living without any problems once it goes, but they're expensive. They're very expensive.
They are, and that's one of the reasons we've looked into it. And yes, you can get the ones that are smaller, and that they will, and you can do only so many circuits. And
right,
then
it doesn't have to be the whole house.
Right, and then you can buy the ones that you can do the whole house, your neighbor's houses, whatever you want to do. What we're looking at this point is they've really started to crop up around the neighborhood because all of us are getting older. So everybody's starting to put them in. So I look at it as if we do decide to do this for resale value of the house, it's going to be a good thing because there's a generator now attached to your house. When looking at this, my husband and I looked at, do we want to power everything in the house?
Right.
And we came down to, here are the things that need to be powered. We need to power the water tank. We need to power the air conditioning. We need to power the refrigerator because that's important. Yep. And then and then get the internet up and a TV so we don't go crazy. That's about all we would need in an emergency. I mean, we caught it down to that much. So looking at the generators that we were looking at, we could keep it under $4,000 installed because we already have a pipe. And notice I didn't say heat, only because we already have a pipe that does a gas fireplace. And that gas fireplace does my house if I need it to.
That's convenient.
Or the downstairs, or at least the downstairs. So
and it doesn't need any electricity to run that. It's just a gas pipe.
It's a gas pipe and it's a battery. There's 4 battery starter inside of the fireplace.
Fantastic.
So I think everybody needs to look at what do you need, what's essential in your house.
See, I would need a lot more because I have a heat pump, and that's all electric, Mm-hmm. Although I have to add, I have solar, although it's not solar with a battery. And that's a whole another thing I want to get into in a bit, because that adds a wrinkle. I have leased solar, so it doesn't come with the battery, but I can get a battery. So, and that's kind of actually where I want to move, unless there's more on the standby generators.
No, I think if you can afford them and they're efficient and you know what you want, you can keep it at a reasonable price and it can keep you comfortable in an emergency. Just know all your neighbors will probably want to come over and charge their phones. So, and that doesn't mean you stop doing the other things they tell you to charge all your battery banks to make sure you're not using all the electricity in, you just got to be smart about it. It takes planning.
Right. So the next type I want to talk about is actually kind of a new category, which is battery backup system. So you're kind of looking at the UPSs, the uninterruptible power supplies, and scaling that up. And these are whole home battery backup systems. So they're like the generators, except they're not generators; they're storage. So you've pre-stored electricity in it, say, and then you run off of those. And the big names right now are Jackery, Anchor, EcoFlow, Blueit, and Tesla, the Tesla Powerwall. And the Tesla's important because what you've got is some of these integrate. And in fact, I think all of them integrate with solar power. So the great thing here is if you've got solar, or if you've got you can buy portable solar panels to go with them. And so you can recharge them from the sun if you've got sunlight. And so when the batteries don't run out, you're recharging them. And they come with various capacities. So for example, I have Tesla solar panels. But if I got a Tesla Powerwall, that's probably the most expensive of all of them. They really are kind of expensive. I'd probably have to spend $6,000 on the Powerwall just to be compatible with my system to get enough for me. But like the Anchor Solix F3800 portable power station starts at 6,000 watts, 3,840 watt hours. That's about $2,500, $2,600. And then you can expand them. You can get like expansion batteries, and you can really scale it up as you go. You don't have to buy it all at once. But you kind of have to know. So again, what do I want to power with it? How much power do I need for how long? And that's really, and each of the websites for these companies will kind of try to lead you through figuring that out. The Jackery has one that's 5,000 watt hours and outputs 7,200 watts. That's $3,500. So it's comparable to the standby generators, but it doesn't. But you're not putting natural gas or propane into it. They are there, and they're. The other thing is I gather these are not outdoor things. They sit inside, so in a garage or in a utility room or in a basement. So you can have room. You have to have room for them inside somewhere too. That's the other part of these.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand what the added value is to a battery backup versus a standby generator. Is it just the natural gas or propane, or because they look like they're about the same price?
Right. You don't need fuel. That's one of the big benefits. And they are, like for example, the Jackery ones you can use for other things. I mean, they're portable, so you could, if you have uses like you go outdoorsing things, or you
camping like you do,
or a cabin somewhere that doesn't have electricity.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Or you have an outdoor party and you want to power everything, or there's like if you're the sort of person who needs power remotely, whether even like in your job, for example, if you're a contractor, that sort of thing. But I think that like one of the benefits is this portability. So you can't bring a generator into your house, but you can bring these in your house. So so if you want to have something that sits in your kitchen and powers the fridge and the freezer and the coffee maker,
kind of a limited locale there.
Yeah. So, and that way you're not having to snake a power cord in from outside, and it's quiet. So there's no noise. There's no external fuel source that you're required to have apart from solar if you decide to get the solar panels. So, I'm not sure it's better than the standby generator, but it's a different use case. And I think like if you have solar panels on your roof, then this is totally a thing you should do. I feel like if I were to go out and spend $5,000 or $6,000, I'd spend it on a battery that connects to my solar before I would spend it on a standby generator, because I already have the panels on my roof. Of course, the downside of the panels on my roof is it's in the winter when it's covered in snow like it is right now. It's not generating power, so I'd have to go up there and clear the snow off, and if it's a cloudy day, I'm not generating electricity, that sort of thing. So that's a whole solar power thing. So it's there's a lot of trade-offs, and there's no easy answer. It's very dependent on your particular circumstances. Like Joanne, like you said, you have the gas powered fireplace.
Right.
That, that's in your circumstance, and that goes into the calculation for what should I get. And I think that's key here is I think whatever you think about, whatever you decide, whatever's in your budget, you have to look at your own particular circumstances and weigh everything. And we'll get into that in just a second, like how to choose the backup system and the different things to consider. But I do want to talk about one more category, which is a bit of an unusual one, but it's there. The vehicle to home power. Some EVs, like the Ford F-150 Lightning or some of the Tesla vehicles, you can use they will charge, like, you charge them off your home's grid. In an outage, you can use them to power stuff in your house. In fact, some of them, like I said before, with the generator, you can connect to a special outlet in your panel. You can do that with the vehicle. I remember hearing in North Carolina after Hurricane Helene, some folks down there were using their EVs, like a Ford F-150 Lightning, to power their house. There was one guy, he said, like, they weren't powering everything, but they were powering computers, fridges, stoves. Like they were putting the lights on at night, that sort of thing. And over the course of 3 days, they only used like 5% of the battery on the truck.
I was thinking, well, you can power your house, but you can't go anywhere then.
Exactly.
Right. Well, if you need to take the vehicle, yeah, you got to turn everything off. But you can, those are gigantic batteries. And so, if you use it, with some foresight, you can make it last. So, but I'm not going to buy you're not going to buy a vehicle as the battery backup for your house.
Right.
It's just, if you have the vehicle, that's another benefit. So just something to consider there. So how do I decide? Like we were saying, so there's budget considerations, for most people, you might say, oh, a UPS, $50 to $300. I think most people should have some type of UPS, uninterruptible power supply, in their home. Anyway. Even if you have a laptop computer, right? A UPS does more than just provide battery backup. It also provides power conditioning, preventing spikes and brownouts from damaging sensitive electronics. So it's worthwhile to have a UPS. But
the funny thing is I have one of those at work and I don't have one at home.
Well, it's one of those things that's easy. It's easy to overlook. Yeah.
And it's not because I don't want one. It's just I guess I value my work stuff more than the home stuff. I hate to make that, confession here on the show, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have 4 UPSs. I've got one on my husband's computer, one on mine, and I've got an office upstairs that I've got 2 of them because I've got about 6 computers in here. Yep. And whenever a battery dies, I buy a brand new and then go get the battery replaced, so I have an extra. Right.
Oh, there's a good idea. Because
the UPSs do have replaceable batteries, and they do need to be replaced over time. So that is a consideration. I had a child pour a cup of my iced tea all over my UPS a few years ago, and yeah, and that battery, everything that went out into the yard for a couple months because I was afraid of it catching fire. And I didn't even want to put it in my trash. You shouldn't throw batteries away, but but they took the battery out, threw the UPS away, and then the town has a hazardous waste day, so I could dispose of it there. And that's why I also have a iced tea container with a lid on it now. Yes. So that it can't be knocked over. But anyway, so you go from a UPS 50 to a couple $100, all the way up to full standby systems can be $5,000 up to $15,000. Like if you have a huge house and you want a big generator to power the entire thing as if you're on the grid, that's like a $15,000 system. So that's the upper limit. But for most of these, the in general, like if you're trying to power a lot of stuff in your house, you're probably in the $5,000 to $6,000 range, $4,000 to $5,000 in there. If you're willing to power just the most essential things, save the fridge and freezer and and make some coffee in the morning, then you're probably looking in the $1,000 to $3,000 range, depending on what you get. So, but the key is, what do I need? What's essential? Fridge? Do I need lights? Do I need Wi-Fi? Do I need medical devices? Do I, what are the essential things I need? Do I need to make sure that like in the summer we can survive without AC, but in the winter we need heat. And so, those are considerations to, for me, that's my family. So, those considerations are important. And then,
and in the winter up here, if your power goes out, I've been used to going and taking the stuff and putting it outside out of the refrigerator.
Yeah.
You can't do that there. See, that's the whole thing. We've done it here. Stick it in the snow. It's.
Although nowadays, with the prevalence of wild animals, we have coyotes and deer and whatnot these days. Would be surprised.
So you have to have it inside a big container. Yeah,
the coyotes are like, it's smorgasbord day.
Here we go.
But I do sometimes when we're cooking for Christmas, I often say it's nature's refrigerator. So
yes,
I put the food out on the patio, and because there's no room in the fridge. Another consideration is just runtime. How much time do you need to do you need to be able to be off the grid? And again, that's a consideration of your budget versus, expectation, your risk, how risk averse are you? How often have you had a power outage where you've been out of power for more than a few days? That's like, think of that. Like where we are, we've had a few power outages. We had a few before we got the generator, one since we did. And I think the longest we've ever been out of power was 3 days. Yeah. Even in some of the worst storms.
We've had 4.
Yeah, we had 6.
Yeah,
but we had like 3 days, and then 1 day of some power, and then
went out again.
Yeah.
That stinks.
It was awful. And that was winter.
Oh gosh, and if you're down in Florida or the Carolinas or the Gulf Coast,
recently.
Yeah, weeks maybe. You could be without power. So you got to look at your own situation. And then, how will you recharge or refuel it? Are you going to recharge with solar? Do you have good solar exposure? You're going to buy portable solar panels? Do you have panels on your roof? Do you have a gas station nearby or someplace to get propane? And those sorts of things. I have a gas station an eighth of a mile from my front door. I could walk there and back. So I'm like, I can get gas pretty darn quick.
As long as not everybody in the neighborhood is getting it at the same time.
Right. As long as they have power for the pumps.
For the pumps.
Yeah, that's the next thing I was going to say. Power for the pumps, that goes down, you can't get anything.
Right. I keep several cans of if we have a big storm coming, I fill up several big cans of gas and make sure I have it on hand. But the problem with that is gas ages, and you can't keep it indefinitely. So, and then, you have to consider how do they get installed. And that's another big difference between standby generators and the battery systems is standby generators must be professionally installed. That's not a DIY. Whereas a battery backup system, depending on whether you want to integrate it into your home's electrical system, you may be able to just buy them and have them there and plug into them as needed, as opposed to, having it integrated into the fuse box, the circuit box in your house. Transfer switch. Sorry, that is the word I was thinking of. That's the when you plug in the generator to the smaller circuit panel, you have a transfer switch to switch over. And one of the reasons that's important is you need to prevent power from going back out to the grid when the grid is down. So if I hook a generator up to my house's electrical system, for the safety of the linemen who are working to restore power or on those lines and expect those lines to be dead, you need to make sure that the power is not going from your house to that line.
Right.
That is a super big responsibility. So, if you connect anything to your electrical system, and your electrician should know this. So, but
don't do it yourself.
Yeah.
No.
Don't do it. That's not even, that's not a DIY thing. Like I mentioned before, carbon monoxide, make sure anything that's powered by fuel is well away from your house. Keep it, I think they say 30 feet, but, in a well-ventilated area, at least.
Yeah. 30 to 50 feet depends on, like, we have a deck in the back.
Yeah.
So if it was summertime, we would want to put it on the deck because it's easier to get the wire inside. In the wintertime, it has to go through the garage because getting it up on the deck in snow is that's a non-starter.
Forget it.
Yeah.
So,
yep. So then just want a few practical tips. Again, looking at what to do during, before and during an outage. So before, a storm comes through, if you anticipated a possible outage, identify your essential devices, what's going to need power, make sure your batteries are all charged, make sure your phone's charged, all your hand anchor battery packs and all that sort of stuff is all charged.
All 27 of them that we have in our houses.
Oh, wow. You beat me there.
No, I don't have 20, but I'm using that as everybody seems to have a multitude of these now.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I've got about 7. 8.
Yeah. I collect them. I have the entire Anchor collection.
Well, you have to have one of everything of Anchor.
That's true.
They're just so good.
I know.
Then, get your backup systems, consider your battery backups, your generators or whatever. Make sure you're stocked up on fuel and batteries, that sort of thing. Test your system, test your generator every once in a while. If you have a fuel powered generator, start it up
once a month.
Yeah. It really should be. Yeah.
Because we got caught in that at one point and had to have it sent in and have it overhauled because we went like 3 or 4 months and then Kevin tried to start it up and nothing happened.
Right.
So it's got to be once a month. We have it on the calendar. Once a month, we haul it out, turn it on. The neighborhood hears us. We put it back in the shed.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's because especially if it's gas gets old, gets cruddy and clogs up the system. Yeah, that's not good. Run a practice drill. Don't let the first time you have to set it up and plug things in be that when you're in the middle of the emergency. Understand how it works, how to set it up, how things get plugged in. Have an emergency kit, and we're going to actually have an episode soon where we're going to talk about your tech go bag. We've talked about what's in your computer bag, like your day-to-day bag, but I want to talk about eventually an emergency go bag. Like if in an emergency you need to leave your house, what tech will go in that? Like you're going to have you'd normally have things like a first aid kit, you'd have a change of clothes, you'd have medicine, but what tech would be in that bag? So we're going to eventually do an episode on that. But just looking at some of the, what would be in an emergency kit, flashlights and headlamps. So we're a scout, like you mentioned, you alluded to, Joanne, we're a scouting family. So we have flashlights, we have headlamps. I've got 2 headlamps on my desk from Olight, which is a great company. They make flashlights. They're fantastic. Extra batteries. Make sure you have, here, Pat, you like this. I'm going to pick it up and show Pat on the camera. This is what she got me for Christmas. This is the battery daddy. But there was somebody's
nice.
Christmas gift pick on our Christmas gift guide, and it's awesome. I mean, it's fantastic. It holds like 1 billion batteries. Weighs a ton. I can
you can do exercise with it.
I can knock out burglars with it.
There you go.
But keep extra batteries. Your portable phone chargers have. They say keep a non-perishable food and water supply. Like I've got so many. I go to Costco. I got plenty of food. Water supply is a tricky one. Keeping a 3-day water supply for a family of 7. I don't have room for that. But if I think a power outage is coming, I will fill up things in jugs and pots and that sort of stuff. That was my mom always had us fill up the tub. I'm not sure what we were going to do with that water because we never used it.
Dip it out and use it, but I would feel a little itchy about it.
I've actually used it both for washing and then if you need to drink it or use it in something, you boil it first.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what my mother used to do. So
I think my mom intended it for the toilet, like in case you needed to flush the toilet and the toilets weren't running. I'm not sure. Yeah. I've never had the water go out, but but anyway, manual can opener. A lot of people, we don't have an electric can opener in my house now, but when I was a kid, we did. If you had to, open a can, every house should have a first aid kit. That's just, basics, safety for everyone. And a battery powered or hand crank radio, definitely worthwhile to invest in. They're not expensive. Like a hand crank radio. It's fun. If you've got kids in the house, just send them to it. I got boys. They're fidgety. Just actually, if you have any kids who are like ADHD or on the spectrum, they're not neurodivergent. Like it's a fidget, and just spin the crank. We'll be getting Tokyo in no time. Keep an emergency kit. And when I say kit, it doesn't all have to be in one place. But keep a list, a bunch of all of these things, make a list of things you need.
One of the things that my client reminded me of yesterday, he says, I was talking about something and he said, oh, that needs to go in the emergency if we have to leave the house. And I was thinking, hard drive backup of your computer should be in there too, as well as copies of the will or, medical information, that type of thing. But I hadn't thought about that for a long time. Where do you keep things that you need to grab and get out of the house with because they may burn?
Right. That's the go bag episode. We'll definitely be talking about that sort of thing about the hard drive backup.
I thought you meant a go bag, like what do you carry around daily to day? That's what I was thinking.
No.
Yeah.
I see now. Okay, good.
Yeah. Go bag comes from I think it's a military term, like soldiers that are on call and they get the call to go. They have a bag packed and ready with all their gear, that sort of thing.
Okay.
We've talked about that. EDC or everyday carry is more that. But we're definitely going to talk about that. Then
my cousins in California have an earthquake bag.
Oh gosh,
so that's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. I know. Yeah, people in because like in Florida, when you have a hurricane coming, you have time to prepare. And even here, when we have a storm coming, we have time. We kind of know, like these days, we know when a storm is coming. It's not like 50 something years ago when we had the blizzards 1978, when it surprised all of us. Meteorology was not what it is today. But in California with an earthquake, it comes and you
brace.
It just happens. So you got to be ready at all times. All right. So during an outage, almost every electric utility I know has outage maps on their website. If you've got your phone and the phone network is not down, you can usually get to that and find out about outage alerts, when they expect the power to come back, that sort of thing. Unplug electronics, especially sensitive electronics. Although if I have a UPS, I'm less likely to unplug those things from the UPS, because the UPS itself is supposed to be protecting against surges.
But a really bad surge could go through that too. So
it could, yeah.
So I prefer to unplug.
Yeah, I mean,
unplug TVs especially because
they're very sensitive. Yeah,
they're very sensitive.
Yeah. Use your generator safely, as we've said before. Prioritize essential devices for power needs. Your fridge and your freezer. I tend to swap things out. I disconnect the toaster to connect the coffee maker, that sort of thing. Don't use outdoor heaters or grills indoors. That's very important. Propane grills, camping stoves, like those stadium or like garage propane heaters. Those are not suitable for indoors. They create carbon monoxide. They will kill you. I have, during power outages, used my camping stove outdoors on the patio, You can use your gas grill if you have a gas grill too. I mean, that'll work. It doesn't use electricity. Unfortunately, my pellet grill does use electricity, so I wouldn't be able to use my pellet grill. But I probably won't be smoking meats during a power outage. Although if the freezer's gone,
might have to.
You might throw a bunch of stuff on there to smoke.
yeah, that's true. But yeah, that's another point for charcoal. That's for sure. Nevertheless, don't use these things indoors. Keep them outdoors. There are catering stoves, like little one burner stoves that have it's almost like it looks like an aerosol can that connects to it.
Right, I've seen
those are okay for indoor use. Those
Right.
they're like catering stoves. But you got to make sure that it's intended for indoor use. Definitely, make sure that the label says. So you could, you put that on your inoperative electric stove and heat up some water or something like that if you need to. Anything else we should say about home backup power for emergencies?
I think it's just a lot of planning, and people don't like to plan for things that don't happen. They plan and they go, oh, gee, I did all that. Nothing happened.
Insurance. That's what
right,
it is.
Exactly.
Oh, what a waste of money.
Well, no, I don't think so.
Like Y2K. Yeah, it was a waste of money. No, because it would have died if you hadn't.
Correct.
Well, and then, it's a lot of money to lay out for something that may never happen. I get that. Like we all have very present and immediate financial obligations to us, right? We have bills to pay and things to do and vacations to take. And, we have things we want to spend that money on. And it's not that we say, oh, I'm never going to do that. That's never going to happen to me. But we often will say, well, I mean, that may happen, but I'll get to that.
It hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened yet. And,
right.
I'll get around to that. I got other things I need to spend that money on right now.
Yeah,
but the thing is, and that's fine, to make you prioritize what you need. But keep in mind, for most people, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Eventually these sorts of things happen.
That's my husband. It's fine. We'll get to it. And then when something happens, he's like, do you have one of these things? Then Joanne pulls out all these things.
Did you do this before?
Yeah, Joanne pulls all these things out and he's going, where did you get? You mean you've kept all? Yeah, I've kept all these things because it's an emergency now and we need it.
That's right.
So,
yep. So, there's other considerations, but I don't want to get into them. But things like, tax incentives and credits for, installations of some sort, those are available. You can do some smart home stuff like monitoring the power loads and that sort of thing. But I don't want to get, that's a whole nother level of topic. In fact, if you want to talk about power systems and all that sort of stuff, there's a YouTube channel, Undecided, with Matt Farrell, which is great. He gets deep into the tech of smart home tech and power systems and all the advanced stuff. So definitely, if you're interested in that sort of thing, go ahead, check him out. He's very interesting on this. But that's what we have on this topic now. If folks have questions or they have anything they want to add to it, feel free to let us know. technology@sqpn.com, and we'll be sure to bring it up in a future episode. Before we move on, I want to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Technology, including Father Jeff H., Arthur D., Jason C., Kevin E., and John B. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Technology and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. So there's one headline I want to mention this week. It kind of relates to some stuff we've talked about recently, like subscriptions in your automobile. So Stellantis, which is now what Chrysler used to be, or what is the new Chrysler, I guess, the parent company, they introduced pop-up ads in vehicles, sparking outrage among owners. So apparently, if you own a Jeep, a recent Jeep that has one of those big screens in it, you may have encountered a circumstance where you're driving along, you come to a stop at a stoplight, and suddenly the entire screen is hijacked by an ad for some Stellantis lease warranty or something like that. We've been trying to reach you about your car's warranty.
Right. There's a recall.
And, owners are, rightly outraged over this because, as one person put it, I'm trying, I stop at the light. I want to look at the GPS to see where I'm going. And instead I get this big pop-up ad that I have to, tap and make go away. And it's just, frustrations there. What do you guys think of this? Is this a sign of bad things to come?
Well, we've all seen sci-fi movies where you're walking down the street and these holograms come at you and stuff like that. That's the future, but it's coming closer. It really is.
Yep.
I'm a cord cutter and I pay not to have ads. If my car ever started doing that, I'd put my fist through it.
Yeah.
To the entertainment system. Because it's one thing. I think in a car, it's going to be a dangerous thing.
A hazard.
Yeah, because people are going to try to get rid of the ads while they're driving or while they're stopped, and they're not going to be paying attention. So this is something that could really be a hazard and not a help to anybody. And I can see lawsuits aplenty coming down the road.
Oh, definitely. If someone crashed after one of these ads popped up and they were trying to dismiss it, that's a lawsuit. That's totally a lawsuit. Because
what if you're in a self-driving car and all of a sudden you're getting ads on the screen? I mean, that's a possibility too.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I've seen a precursor to this in a sense with, I've noticed that I think it's Waze that when I slow down or I'm at a light, I may get a little pop up, saying something about Burger King or whatever, but it doesn't take over the whole screen. And as soon as you start driving, it goes away.
Right.
So this started about probably 9 months ago, I noticed. And I don't know what, and they're not big ads, but it irritates me.
Right.
It would irritate me too, Pat, because I just don't think the car is the place for it. I'm trying to concentrate on a whole bunch of things. Happy now that I have an 11-inch screen that I can actually see my GPS on. And the last thing I need is something invading that screen that's going to take my attention away for a split second. That could be the difference between an accident and not.
Right. As I say, supposedly these only show up when you are stopped, and it may delay so many seconds, before it pops up. But still, I can see where that.
Plus, it's maddening. I'm spending more and more money on these cars every year. They're more and more expensive. And you're hitting us up for, nickel and diming us on this other stuff, the subscriptions, the ads, all these other ways that they're just trying to suck every possible dime out of our interaction with the company. And it's like, and this isn't just automakers, it's every company is trying to find every way to suck some more revenue out of us. And I'm tired of being treated like a piggy bank for every company out there.
Yeah, and I hate having to say I don't want ads, so I have to pay for it. It's not that I can either pay for the product or I can pay to stop ads for it. It's stupid.
Right, Joanne, you mentioned go ahead.
I was going to say, and there are some, like I think Netflix is doing this now, where you can pay for no ads, but
Prime
still there's a little disclaimer that says, but some things may have, I think it's Disney and Hulu, but some programs may have ads anyway. Okay, so now I'm paying for ads and I'm still getting ads. No ads and I'm still getting ads.
Joanne, you mentioned Netflix, so you can get a no ad, as you mentioned, a no ad subscription, even though you may still see ads. But the secret is you're worth more to Netflix if you watch the ads.
That's correct.
They really would refer you to get the cheaper subscription that shows you ads because they're making more money off of showing ads to people than they are off of people paying extra not to get the ads.
Right.
It's perverse, but true. So their incentive is to get you to raise the price enough on the ad free system to make you want to go to the ad system.
And I think on Netflix that has succeeded for them, from what I saw financially.
Yeah.
They have huge increases in the number of subscribers for the ad-supported channels.
Right.
Because people don't want to pay for the higher tier.
Right.
I do, because I have over the air stuff as well, and I know that there are ads there, and I know how to deal with that. But if I'm specifically paying for a premium service, I don't want ads. I just want to see the show. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't show me
That's
ads.
what always bugged me about cable TV was like I'm paying for cable TV and watching ads. It's just like that didn't seem right. In fact, every time I have to watch regular cable TV now, which isn't very often, and have to sit through an ad, drives me bonkers. I mean, I grew up with it. I know. I mean, like this was normal, 30 years ago. But now, I just like ever since I got a TiVo 25 years ago, I could skip through ads. That was the best thing ever, and I've never wanted to go back.
And that's why I have the Channels app, because I can do that when I usually watch while I'm recording, so that I can actually skip the commercials.
Right.
Well, I know I use the mute button on the TV remote a lot when as soon as one starts up, like on Netflix or something like that.
Yeah.
The problem is that my husband is listening to it over Bluetooth, and he can't quickly do that. So I've killed it for me, but he still hears it.
Right.
Oh.
And the thing is, well, yeah.
It's not that we don't want to be good consumers, okay? And it's good to be, up on the latest stuff. But
sure.
when you watch some of these and it's the same ad every single break,
and sometimes within the same break, the same ad shows up multiple.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what's killing me.
A killer.
Or the ad, like it used to be, when they made TV shows, they built them around ad breaks so that a scene would end and then you go to the ads. Now, sometimes you get like in the middle of a line, sometimes in the middle of the scene, and they go to an ad. It's like jarring, and it's like, and then you come back and it's like you've totally taken you out of the story.
Or they put the algorithm puts the ad in the middle of a scene, and then there's the scene break like 2 minutes later. Well, why didn't you put it there?
Exactly. And then if you try to pause and all that other nonsense, like there are some systems that don't let you pause the ads. Like,
oh no,
Sling will not let you pause.
Right. This is when I want to go to get another drink or go use the bathroom.
That's when you do your bathroom break is in the middle of the ad so that you can say, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, actually what Sling does is it will not let you, if you pause it and you come up to a commercial, it won't let you go through it. But Friendly, the other one will let you do it. So you have to know which one will, which one won't. And my poor husband gets so confused. Which one's going to let me do this?
Oh man. All right. So yeah, no. So if you're a Jeep owner, you may be seeing pop-up ads. Although Jeep owners are known for modding their vehicles, they're that community. So maybe they'll mod a ad blocker for Jeep.
Is it just Jeep, or is that just the most prevalent one?
That's the one where it's been seen so far. But as you mentioned, other systems might be experimenting with other ad types so far to see what they can get away with.
Yeah.
Don't even think about it, Subaru.
All right, let's move on to our picks of the week. And Pat, why don't you go first? What's your pick this week?
Well, everybody's concerned about searching on the internet, et cetera, although with AI coming up, there's going to be other ones. But one of my clients I had told about Start Page recently, and they hadn't heard about it. And I thought, well, maybe I'll mention it here, that basically it's another one of the search things that it does not track you. It does not keep a search history, et cetera. But what it does do is it uses Google search and Bing as its source. So most of the time, if I went to a Google search and I saw what my search results are, if I go to Start Page, I pretty much see the same results. And so I'm getting the search content I want, but without the tracking or the stuff where it's gathering information on you. Nice. And so therefore, and it may have some ads, but the thing is they're not based upon all your search history and all of the stuff that Google does. So it is a privacy search, but it uses Bing, it uses Google, and then a whole bunch of other search engines that it uses depending upon what you're searching for.
Does it do the? I'm just looking here. Yeah, you'd also avoid that AI summary thing that Google's doing now.
It doesn't show you the AI summary.
That's good. That's good.
Now there is a trick on getting rid of the AI summary. And if you put on, if you're doing a Google search, if you do a -AI, 90% of the time that gets away from letting me see the AI summary. Somebody else says if you put a curse word in there, it also stops it.
Ooh, that's funny.
You know, as one of the search terms.
Yeah, actually, I think it worked. I think that -AI worked. They just give it a shot. And
and I don't think it matters case sensitive on that one, because I think I've tried it both ways, and it's worked every time I've tried it. But somebody else told me it didn't work, so I don't know whether they put a -AI or a -AI.
Yeah, it's gonna be like -AI, not space, because it works like a parameter in a terminal command, that sort of thing.
Right.
There are actually other variants on that you can do in Google searches. I'll have to look them up and maybe make that a pick of the week in the future.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of things you can say that you want to search just a particular website or not see these things as terms, but see some other things. Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of things in Google search that would be a good topic.
Excellent. Great. Good pick. Joanne, what's your pick this week?
Well, for many, 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 many years, I was a devotee of Leo Laporte's The Tech Guy on Premier Radio Networks. Because it was a show that was almost like a smorgasbord of tech. It was for everybody, the advanced geeks and just the people starting out and your normal people who didn't understand tech. And he retired off of that show about a year and a half ago, and on his own Twit network, tried to continue it, but then it went away. So Premier Networks picked up Rich DeMuro, I think its last name is, if I got that right. Rich DeMuro from KTLA in LA, and now he is Rich on Tech. And because I was devoted to Leo for many years, I was kind of hesitant to listen to someone else. And finally I missed it so much, I said, okay, fine. And I've been starting to listen to it again. And I miss that type of smorgasbord because I'm not always going to listen to the heavy tech stuff, because then I don't know what regular people are doing. Right. And, and also how to help regular folks too. I've gotten very much, both Leo and Rich were very good at showing you how to help people who have no clue what they're doing. And both of them have a no printer questions.
Yeah.
Don't ask them anything about a printer question, because they both the heads would blow. But if you're looking for something that gives you a good cross-section of technology on a weekly basis, he's only on once a week on Saturdays, but it also turns into a podcast that you can get also through iHeartRadio. He's done very well taking Leo's place, and I do suggest him a lot to folks who are new in tech or kind of afraid of it, and say, listen, he's got some good ideas and some good stuff.
Right.
So he is my pick of the week, Rich on Tech.
Good. Excellent. So mine is something interesting just came up. There was an article in the Australian Catholic newspaper, Catholic Weekly. Franciscan Friars app helps tourists find Rome's spiritual treasures. And it's a new app for Android and iOS called Rome Pilgrim. And it's designed to help pilgrims to Rome. It gives you guides to relics and tombs and the spiritual sites of Rome, pilgrim routes. It suggests pilgrim routes. It's got information on hours that places are open, and it's designed to help someone who's going to Rome as a pilgrim, which in this Jubilee year is very relevant. And to get the most out of the spiritual aspects of their journey to Rome. It's got beautiful photos. It's got lots of information about the different places. So when you get somewhere, you can pull up the app and look at it and it'll be your little guide. It reminds me a lot of the what were the old guidebooks? This Fodor's,
yeah,
or there's another one starts with a D that I really liked, but
there was an I something that I liked, or EYE something, eyewitness or something like that. That's
right.
not it, but it was some.
I remember the one I was thinking of, Dorling Kinderly was the guidebooks I really enjoyed back in the day.
Okay.
They had great illustrations, but this reminds me a lot of that, and it's got a lot of great information. Of course, I'll be going to Rome later this year with the StarQuest pilgrimage. There's still spaces if anybody wants to join me and Jimmy. And
are you going to let me?
You have to watch the kids.
I know. Bella's big enough.
Well, we'll make Melanie stay home, and you can come.
No. I wouldn't do that to her. I would not do that to her.
So it's if we're going to have excellent tour guides, but if you're going and you're going to go on just on a visit yourself, this would be a great thing to take. It's free, of course. The Franciscan friars are not going to charge you for it. It's just a beautiful little app. So I just want to recommend folks, even if you don't get a chance to go to Rome, you can maybe make a virtual pilgrimage and check out some of the amazing places that are there. I love
use
Rome.
it as a memory enhancer for when you were there before.
Yes, right. I've been twice in my life. The last time was 25 years ago. And it's a beautiful, amazing place. And I'm so looking forward to going. But I mean, the history that is in this app, of Rome itself is wonderful. So I definitely recommend it. Recommend you check it out. Download it. RomePilgrim.com. And those are our picks of the week. So we would love to hear from you, our listeners. If you have any comments, anything you want to share with us or ask us, any questions you might have about tech, we'd be happy to discuss them on a future episode. You can do that by commenting on the show at sqpn.com/technology or at the StarQuest Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuestMedia. Send an email to technology@sqpn.com. Visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/Discord. You'll find links from our discussion and our picks of the week on our show notes at starquest.fm/TEC288. Remember to like each episode of Secrets of Tech on Facebook. Retweet us on X. We're now on Instagram. You can find us there. Leave us comments wherever you find us. We love to hear from you. And until next time, Joanne Mercier, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of technology.
Thanks, Dom.
And Pat Scott, thank you as well.
It's always fun being here.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Technology on StarQuest. Here's another show on the StarQuest network you're sure to enjoy, The Secrets of Middle-earth. Find it wherever you can find podcasts or at sqpn.com/Middle-earth.